All right, welcome back to Steeler Thoughts and Chief Feelings, episode 42. Which player are we going with for this episode?
Uh, I, Anthony Sherman on the Chiefs used to wear 42. I feel
Good,
like we
the
can go
Anthony
with the
Sherman
Anthony.
episode. To introduce ourselves, I'm Chris, the co-host that's a Steelers fan and a philosophy professor.
I'm Ajay. I'm the co-host. I always say cohort or cohorse. I'm the co-host that's a Chiefs fan and a psychiatrist. Thanks to all of you who've been following along, although there hasn't been a ton to follow along this off-season as we've really taken an off-season of our own. But
Yes, I think, yeah.
yeah, after with all the craziness that goes on with your work and with me having a child, it's been an off season. But hopefully we'll get back in the swing of it. I mean, training camps have started, so suddenly we're
Yeah.
going to be getting weekly very soon.
Yeah, we
It's
have,
going to get exciting.
we're in the swing of it, or at least we're in the backswing of it or something.
Actually, that's good that we have the Anthony Sherman episode because Anthony Sherman was notorious for wearing crazy outfits when he showed up to training camp. Like, I think he once had like an American flag Speedo and had like it was like a vest that was like an open vest. It was like all American flags. So I feel like that's a good one. It's training camp starting. We think about Anthony Sherman.
Yeah, that I think like Vince Williams had something like that a few years ago. He came with like a pro wrestling belt and I think an open vest. That was a good way to show
You
up.
know, I don't know if this is true with the Steelers, but apparently the Chiefs players don't do this anymore. Like they kind of sneak in. Apparently their curfew at training camp is like 9 p.m. So they wait till all the media have left and they just kind of like sneak in. Like none of the players show up now when the media are waiting for training camp.
That's interesting. I feel like that's something has been lost in that sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. On the other hand, I don't know. I was thinking the other day, totally. Well, it's relevant to this piece, but almost irrelevant to football. But like the red carpet part of any like event with celebrities is a very strange thing, right? I mean, you sit there, or they sit there, and they like just pose for cameras for a couple of minutes. Like, I don't know. It's not obvious that that should exist, is it? Like that
Oh,
kind of event.
No, not at all. Like it's definitely something that I feel like exists because it has existed, and like everybody does it. But I don't. It is interesting. There seems to be something about once people become famous, they really start to believe that they are some sort of beacon of fashion. Like this seems pretty reliable across different like areas of work too, right? As long as it's entertainment. I don't know that like Mark Zuckerberg considers himself a beacon of fashion, but
But that haircut that he used to have, yeah.
like so maybe not in all famous people, but athletes are really into it now. Like musicians have always been into it, actors have always been into it. I don't know. It just becomes a thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, who that's an interesting psychological question why that happens. If that's really what's happening, or if there's like something else that encourages it, like the fact that you have to do these, red carpet events where you do have to pose. It's like, well, if I'm going to do that, I guess I'll play the part or whatever and dress up like someone. Someone dresses up. But yeah, I would find that odd, I think, if I had to do that. Fortunately, I don't have to do that. My job is.
They should have a philosophy professor red carpet.
No, they should not.
I feel like there'd be a lot of tweed blazers.
Yeah, there might be. Although they're yeah, I don't know. The dress code is pretty open ended. Less non open ended than I would have thought. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I'm eloquent today.
Well, that's probably good because there was I have interacted with, have known a forensic psychiatrist who once told me that when people go to conferences, he feels like the like seriousness of the dress code of the conference is inversely proportional to how like intellectual the people are or how much thinking goes on at the conference. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. There's certain like I prefer to wear jeans at a conference because I think there's something like a little off-putting about indicating that I take myself that seriously, that I will dress up, and that I take my work that serious. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this in a public setting, but there I am. There I go. Like that I take my research that seriously that I'll be like in a suit or something like that. No, like I do philosophy, right? Like that's it's not life-saving work. So let's not pretend that it is. But.
That's funny. Yeah, and I wonder too, like how much of your work, how much changes when your work involves like interacting, like because for me, I feel like I owe it to my patients to look like a doctor. So, yeah. But different people have different conceptions of what a doctor looks like now. But anyway, I feel like I've taken us like way down.
Yeah, I think I did this. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, we should maybe get back to close to football. Topic.
Well, especially like thinking about it, I feel like this is a funny off season for us to have taken an off season because this has got to be the craziest Steelers off season ever, right?
That I can remember, yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I was still like, this is a bad off season for me not to have paid a lot of attention because so much has happened, and like probably stuff has happened that like I just don't remember or never learned about, and I'll learn. Oh, he's on our team now, like sometime in the preseason. Like, well, yeah, we'll see how this goes.
I feel that way about the NFL in general. Like I think I feel okay about my knowledge about what the Chiefs have done, but pretty much nothing else. Like someone was talking on a podcast about how Deontay Johnson is on the Browns, and I was like, "Oh, really? Oh,
see, I didn't even know that. Wow,
like, yeah. On the Browns now." So I feel like a couple weeks of the NFL are going to be me being like, "Wait, this guy's way there? Oh, okay."
Yeah, it'll make our locks and predictions a lot more tenuous, probably. Although they were pretty tenuous already.
All right, wait, I'm going to take us on one more tangent because you mentioning locks made me think about like how my locks and everything are probably going to revolve around people like Jared Goff because I always single them out. And then I remembered that Jared Goff was in the Quarterback Show. Have you watched any of this second season of Quarterback?
No, I haven't. How is it?
I haven't either. I mean, I have watched, I'm like into the second episode, so I have not watched a lot, but I will say, I think it's worth watching just for Burrow, Joe Burrow.
Really?
Because, and I don't mean this as a compliment, I feel like Joe Burrow comes across exactly how I would have expected him to come across. And it's like, it's not as bad as it's going to sound with me recounting it, but he will have, he has interactions where he's sitting with his parents and he will say something to the effect of like, well, like, I know how, I can do dishes and stuff. I just don't like to. Or he literally said, like, I don't know how my washer and dryer work, but I bet I could figure it out. Like, I could figure it out if I needed to. And I was just like, wow. Like, I don't even know what to say to that.
Like doesn't know how to put a load of laundry in, or like the mechanism for behind the... Because I don't know how the mechanism works.
No, I think he would not know how to run. Like, if you just asked him right now, like, your laundry machine, what buttons do you push to, like, do your laundry? I think he was saying he doesn't know how to use it, but he could figure it out, which I'm glad he could figure it out. Like,
yeah, that's good confidence to have. But I don't think that's, what we're looking for, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, who knows? I mean...
Which, like, I get it, like, athletes don't have to do their own laundry. Like, if you have someone you can pay to do it, like, why not? But it was especially funny, like, like, I don't know. To me, like, if you had just come to me and been like, here I have a quote for you. Somebody's saying that they know how, or they can do dishes, but they don't like to. Like, how old is this person? Like, I certainly would not guess over 20.
They can do dishes, but they don't like. Yeah, well, I'm glad you can. But even, I feel like you develop some habits if you do dishes often enough that you would not have. So you would not do. I bet he does not do dishes well if he tries. Right? Like, for example, do you wash them? Do you wash them in like all at once? Like, do you get them all soapy and then do the water, or do you do them one at a time? I feel like it's a lot more efficient to do the first way. But when I first started doing dishes, wow, this is really a digression. It's not how I did them. So even that, I think there's stuff like I'm sure he could learn it, right? But that's part of
Yeah, even the basics of like understanding what kinds of foods, like strategy might change depending on what you cook,
yeah. Some things have to
Just,
soak.
but I'm sure he would say that he knows how to cook, but he but he doesn't like to.
This is good. Uh, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I was telling my wife, I was literally like, you don't have to watch quarterback with me, but we're just going to fast forward to all the Joe Burrow parts, and I just want you to watch those parts. He also, like, you remember the Jaden Daniels game when the Commanders beat the Bengals on Monday Night Football?
Yes, I
He
enjoyed that.
said some things during that game, too, that were a little surprising to me, especially knowing that a documentary crew is following you around and recording what you're saying. But he basically, at the end of the game, he turned to a teammate and said, like, I'm paraphrasing, like this is not, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of like, well, it really stinks when you basically play a perfect game and you lose. And I was like, I can't imagine like Patrick Mahomes saying that. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
which he's not wrong, but that's not what I would expect a quarterback like to be saying to teammates,
yeah, yeah. You say that maybe to your spouse when you get home or something like that.
Definitely not with the documentary cameras around. And I mean, they used it in the documentary. So, yeah, it was strange.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious to see him in that documentary. Well, look, I was about to digress about other shows I'm watching, but maybe that's for another time. But
we have the bad combination of being very off topic and having very few episodes. Not a lot of time to talk about the real thing.
Yeah, that's not working well. Okay, well let's get to real football topics. I think we did Steelers first last time. Do you want to go to some Chiefs topics?
Yeah, we have some Chiefs news fairly recently. Actually, like a couple interesting things with the start of training camp. So, I think first and foremost, the thing that we were waiting for all offseason was whether Trey Smith was going to get extended. And we didn't talk about this a lot because we only had one other podcast. But had we had more podcasts, I would have been saying that I was very confident he was going to get extended. Basically because, and I'm not the first person to have said this, but the Chiefs kind of painted themselves into a corner. They traded Joe Thuney, and honestly, he didn't get like that big of an extension from the Bears after the trade. But once they traded Joe Thuney, it was kind of like they're not going to go into this with two new guards or without like a long-term plan at guard. They kind of have to extend Trey Smith now, and the question was just how much money he was going to get. I even felt like the chance of him playing on the franchise tag was really low. And yeah, they waited till the very end, but they gave him a record-setting deal. He ended up getting a 4-year, $94 million deal and this is where like the numbers get kind of confusing because it was reported as like 70 million of the 94 was guaranteed, but it turns out that like a good almost like half of that not half, sorry, like 24 million or so of that guaranteed money is guaranteed for injury. So really like guaranteed at signing is like 46.7, something like that.
Are you? Yeah, go ahead. But I was going to ask how you felt about this. Is it overpaying or is it necessary?
It was necessary now. Now, I think the big argument would be like, was it better to keep Joe Thuney and pay him at what he was getting, like what he got from the Bears, or was it better to bet on Trey Smith, kind of paint yourself into a corner and know that you had to pay? Like the Chiefs were not going to get away without paying this kind of money. Like Trey Smith knew they needed to pay him. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Like because last year Joe Thuney was better than Trey Smith. Joe Tooney is also what, like 34?
Okay. I know he's old. Well, I guess that's
He's
not old.
32. Sorry, I was wrong. He's
Oh,
32.
right. Man, I'm old
And
compared to him.
and Trey Smith is turning 26 for this season. So really, like, whether this is a good move or not really depends on how soon we think Trey Smith is going to be better than Joe Tooney. If it's this year, this is a great move. If
Right.
it's next year or the year after, then especially if it takes him 2 years, like if 3 years from now is the first time Trey Smith's better than Joe Tooney, then it's a bad move. So that's what's really going to come to. And I think Trey Smith is the kind of player that gets, not that he's not very good, because he is, but I think he gets kind of overrated because what he's good at is a very splashy thing. Like, he makes big, powerful blocks, especially in the run game, and they get played on highlights over and over again. He's a really good run blocker in general. He's has good moments as a pass blocker, but is a little more inconsistent. And that was the difference with Joe Tooney, was he was like a robot, he's very consistent, just always really good. So, and obviously we pass a lot more than we run, and we care a lot more of that. So to me, it's way more important to have a good pass protector. So I don't know. It's up in the air. I think based on having traded Tooney, this was the right move, but time will tell. I don't envy the Chiefs having to make this decision. I feel like if you put a gun to my head, I would have probably stuck with Tooney at the money he got, but I don't know that I could be like, oh, this was clearly the wrong way to go.
Yeah, is there something to like they want a longer term solution than play? I mean, maybe like to get Mahomes' comfort level with the line. If the line can stick together for longer, that's generally a better thing. So maybe that was also
Yes,
a factor there.
certainly. And also, Trey Smith is like best friends, like actually, with Creed Humphrey, our center, who is by far our best lineman. And, it's good to keep people that like each other and hopefully would work together well together. And also good to keep Creed happy because Creed is extremely valuable. The flip side of it is that we know we're going to have a new left tackle, so it might have been nice to have a good left guard that was very stable. Now we're putting in Kingsley Suamataia probably at left guard, so we have someone who is a second-year player who just got straight up benched after we tried him at left tackle, and now he's playing left guard, new position for him, and then we're going to have a new left tackle. So the left side is a little, I mean, there's potential, but it's also very new and not used to playing with each other. So those that argue for Tooney, that was one of their things too, is like, well, we're really trying to solidify left tackle. Isn't it nice to have a good left guard next to him? I mean, I feel like that's a fair argument.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, I guess that is a nice segue to questions about the left tackle if you want to go there now. But you had some other, I think, news items that you wanted to bring up. So I do want to ask about how you're feeling about left tackle right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I basically, we talked about on our last podcast that I thought that the decision to draft Joshua Simmons was a great decision because his ability, assuming he comes back like he was from his patellar injury, his ability is unlike anybody that the Chiefs will have an opportunity to draft unless they just find a diamond in the rough, which could happen, but it's rare, especially at left tackle. So it was a worthwhile swing. At the same time, just knowing Andy Reid and knowing the fact that we signed a veteran who admittedly is new to Kansas City and was not like a long-term starter, but has started games in this league, in Jalen Moore, I just assumed that Simmons coming back from injury, Jalen Moore being a vet, that Jalen Moore was going to start at left tackle and then we'd figure things out from there. Now, at training camp, we're in this interesting situation where Jawan Taylor, our right tackle, has started on the physically unable to perform list. And the first team reps at left tackle are going to Joshua Simmons. And they've moved Jalen Moore over to the right side to take first team right tackle reps, which is really interesting. That you would think would be more of what you would do for your backup swing tackle rather than your starting left tackle. So I don't know. Like maybe, I mean, You might not think this because of how last year went when we started the rookie and then pulled the plug after 2 games. But I think theoretically, the rookie winning the job early is a really good sign, especially when you've got someone who's rehabbing. And I think during the draft time, the thought was he was maybe just going to be ready for the season. Like, if training camp was like a question. Then when the Chiefs drafted him, they were kind of like, no, he'll be ready for training camp. Now it turns out he was ready for OTAs and everything. He's been participating in everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's got to be a good sign for his health. I mean, at least.
Certainly for his health, and hopefully for his ability too, at like the way that he's actually doing things. That it's early. Like, things can change very quickly, and not so much with the offensive line, but the Chiefs have had situations where guys get starting reps in training camp and then don't play meaningful snaps even during the season. So it's happened. I can't remember a lot of examples with the offensive line though. So I think if Joshua Simmons is what he could, like, if he hits his potential, like, I really think this could be, I think Kent Swanson from Kansas City Sports Network first said it, like, this could be the last left tackle Patrick Mahomes ever plays with. Like, that would be amazing. Considering every time he's been to a Super Bowl, it's been with a different left tackle, which is one of the craziest stats I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah. And if that does pan out, you could have like center, left guard, and left tackle sort of set for a while, which is an enviable position to be in. Certainly, I'm sure Mahomes would like that. Yeah. Nice. Well, where to next? Do you want to talk about Travis Kelce's new haircut? Or
I didn't even know he got a new haircut. Wait, what does his hair look like?
I mean, it's just like it's longer. He's got some bangs.
Oh, okay. So it's not that new. Yeah,
I mean, he's had this haircut before. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
I thought like in the last couple of days he got a new one or something. But his off-season haircut.
Yeah, I guess that's just the opposite.
Yeah, wait, I will say, one more thing. Although, I guess Travis Kelce, usually his off-season thing is to have a mustache. I'm surprised he hasn't done that. Does he not have one? Oh, geez. I think he still has a beard. I'm looking at his new haircut now. Oh, no, this is...
Can you grade this haircut on a letter-based scale?
I'm trying to get a good picture of this.
Yeah.
I feel like he actually wears it okay. I'll give it like a solid B.
Okay. That's probably what I would have given. I said B plus. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure he puts some effort into that, and it's paying off a bit. Do you give B's like is it hard to get an A for you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would say B is probably my average grade when it comes to hairstyle.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Anyway, back to football. One of the other news items recently was Rashee Rice. He's got like 30 days, or something like. But nothing from the NFL yet. Is that right?
Right. So I'm fortunate to, like, one of the people that I pay a lot of attention to is Seth Kaiser, who follows and writes about the Chiefs and is also a lawyer. So he's done a lot of explaining what's going on with Rashee Rice. So I feel like I have a decent grasp on the situation. Like, essentially what has happened is that Rashee Rice he had 2 lawsuits, right? He had the criminal lawsuit, and then he had the civil suit. And it sounds like Rashee Rice's lawyer worked with the prosecutor, basically saying, we are going to plead guilty and admit to everything. If we can work out a deal, can we settle the civil suit part of it first? And it sounds like prosecutors like pretty frequently agree to this because their whole goal is to have the victims made whole. So they kind of came up with a civil agreement where Rashee Rice, I think, is going to pay like $1 million. Now, it turns out that there are several civil suits, and it's unclear from the way it was set up. Like, was this the resolution of one of the suits or all the suits? Or
Yeah.
it's not really clear. But the one that was public was that he was going to pay $1 million. That was settled. And so the prosecutor essentially said, all right, if you plead guilty to, I think there were a couple felonies, we're going to do what is essentially like a delay of your sentencing. So you're not sentenced, you're on 5 years probation. You essentially have to like follow the rules of the 5 year probation. If you do that, then this will be dismissed from your record. Additionally, within that 5 years, you have to serve 30 days in jail because we want to make sure that you actually like do something concrete because you committed a crime and it was stupid and it was reckless. So that was the kind of concrete part of it. And they also ordered him to pay the victim's entire legal fees for this entire proceeding. From what the Seth Kaiser said, like this is actually not that unusual for a situation like this where someone is a first-time offender and it was a crime that was more stupid than malicious, with the potential to harm people, but without people having had any like major negative harm as a result. When you have major harm, then people go to prison, like the Henry Ruggs situation. So it seems like kind of legally everything has played out that way, and Rashee Rice essentially has to be on the straight and narrow for the next 5 years. What's interesting about it that I didn't know is that, so since he's pled guilty, the sentencing, like we said, has been delayed. So if he violates the terms of parole, he essentially has like, he can go right back to step one. He's already pled guilty, and the prosecutor can be like, all right, I'm going to sentence you to years in prison. So because he's already pled guilty, he's essentially waived any right he has to defend himself, waived his right to the Fifth Amendment, and so he can't like refuse to testify against himself. He already has, and admitted to the crime. So if he violates this, I guess this is probation. I might have said parole earlier. If he violates the probation, then he could actually be sentenced with something really serious because he's already pled guilty. So he's basically committing to not violating the probation. Otherwise, he's going to really have some problems.
Yeah.
From the NFL standpoint, they were going to wait for the legal proceedings to be over. By all appearances, the legal proceedings are over. Andy Reid said at the beginning of training camp that he has not been given any further news about what's going to happen. Some Chiefs source told somebody, I don't even remember who at this point, that if some Chiefs beat reporter, it might have been like Matt Derrick or somebody, that they were optimistically expecting 2 to 4 games. I think most people, I've heard any estimate from 2 to all the way up to 8. I think 2 seems like it would be too little, in my opinion, just based on what we've seen. 8 seems like a lot. I have a feeling it'll be between 4 and 6 games. I feel like if you like asked me to put money on it, I would put money on 4, but who knows? And the thing is, the NFL's been weird about timing these things too. Like I remember when Willie Gay got suspended a couple of years ago, they brought the suspension down like in the middle of the season. It was suddenly like, oh, he's going to miss the next like 4 games or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Chiefs
we don't.
Yeah. You got to make adjustments on the fly in that case. It's nice. Well, I mean, I guess their goal in the suspension is not to be nice, but it's nice to the team at least if they can have some guess about how it's going to go or when it's going to happen. Okay. We have to take a break in just a couple minutes here. Are there other, I was trying to remember if we talked about Nick Bolton's new contract last time or not.
I honestly don't know. We can touch on it briefly, and I wanted to talk about George Karlaftis' extension too. Yeah. So we can hit on those before we then get to TJ Watt.
Okay, sounds good. So when we come back, we'll touch on those and then talk some Steelers crazy offseason.
Sounds good.
And we're back. Um, we have a couple more Chiefs items to discuss. So you want to start with Carl Loftus or Bolt?
We can start with Bolton. I'll just hedge on it because I really don't remember if we've already talked about this or not. So, but I feel like the Bolton one, like, it makes sense. Like, the Chiefs love him, Spag loves him. It's not like a prohibitively expensive contract. He's making 15 million a year. I just Bolton is such an interestingly polarizing player for Chiefs fans because it added to the fact that he's went to Mizzou. So there's just a lot of people that are really invested in him, and then there are a lot of people that he's one of those people, unfortunately for him, that I think his shortcomings are obvious during a game. Like you can really see them, and the things he does well can sometimes be a lot more subtle. Like he is supposedly one of the most cerebral players in the game. He's very good at getting the Chiefs in right checks, making sure everybody's where they need to be. Spagnuolo has even gotten to the point where he like trusts Bolton's feedback on whether a call is a good call, like whether they should call that during the next series or not. So, and those are a lot of they're hard to quantify. But then when his like lack of change of direction shows up and a receiver like burns him on a whip route like that, you can see why like everyone's like, well, he stinks. So, he's a good linebacker who's not a great linebacker, and he might even get to like very good or borderline great if one were able to quantify the stuff he does for the overall team rather than just his individual play. So, they essentially he's on a 3-year, $45 million contract. There is an out after 2 years that would result in only 4.2 million dead cap and a cap savings of 19.2 million. So an overall savings of 15 million off the cap. So if the next 2 years really don't work out for some reason, the Chiefs could get out of it before the final year of his deal. I feel like this is one of those where I kind of trust them. They've been pretty good about when to move on from people and when to keep people around. They've really kind of leaned toward moving on from people. So if they're keeping him around, I feel like I trust that decision.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have a star player at every position, right? You need to have some just like solid guys, and he seems like that. And maybe more than solid if you take the subtle aspects of his game. Yeah. So you've convinced me. That's a good move.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that people worry about is that, like, if you don't have a star player, like, are they being paid, like, more than they are? And I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, especially with, like, what he is asked to do versus what other people are asked to do. And ultimately, like, his average per year puts him at 5th in the league. I don't know. That's not something I'm really worried about. Like, it's fine. I think he will be worth it, and the cap's always going up. It's better with longer term deals, which actually is a good transition now to talk about Karlaftis, because I love what the Chiefs did with Karlaftis. Karlaftis is actually very similarly polarizing in that there are a lot of people that think he's a lot better than he is, and there are a lot of people that think he's a lot worse than he is. And again, Karlaftis is me to someone who's like to me, he's someone like good to very good. He's not elite. He doesn't do the kind of the ultimate thing for a defensive end is winning one-on-one consistently, right? Forcing a double team. And Karlaftis doesn't do that. He's not someone that ever really needs to be doubled. But at the same time, he's very, very stout against the run, which I think gets really underrated with defensive ends and is very important in our defense. With the amount of times Steve Spagnuolo wants to play with like extra defensive backs, especially even against the run, or even against, heavier personnel, like 12 personnel at times, meaning one running back and 2 tight ends, then you want to have defensive ends that play the run really well that make you still able to stop the run in those situations. He gets sacks, but his sacks are usually effort sacks. They're not like quick win sacks. Every once in a while he'll get one. But he's also, a relentless guy who wears teams down, and ultimately that comes in handy in the playoffs and in the fourth quarters and in these high leverage situations. So I
That's
think,
I
yeah,
had
go
a
ahead.
question about the effort stack characterization because sometimes I feel like Watt is more of an effort stack guy than people like to acknowledge. Uh, and I don't know if it's a negative thing or not. Like, what's your take on the effort sack versus like the just dominant quick, the quick sack? Quick
I
sack is
mean,
a weird
I definitely take the quick one every time, but I think that the effort one is often dismissed way too much. Like, if your quick sack is your 10 out of 10 situation, like the effort sack has to at least be an 8, you know?
term.
And
Yeah,
the only thing is it's like predicated on there being good coverage. But to
or
be
just
fair,
on there being like discombobulation at the line of scrimmage, so the quarterback is running around. Right? Like, it
right.
could be that kind of effort as well.
Like one of the guys who does like really good film study, his name's Cody Alexander. One of the phrases he used in he did like a Spagnuolo defense breakdown, and one of the phrases he used that I loved was the pressure, or what is it? The rush is the coverage, or the pressure is the coverage sometimes. Like just the
Mm.
fact that you get that pressure, or you confuse the quarterback with your blitz or something, ends up being like the guys could be open, but they miss them because of the way it's set up. And
Mm.
then you can have those cleanup sacks. But the cleanup sack guy is important because you have a guy, and we hope he'll stay that way for a couple more years. In Chris Jones, he gets the quick pressure. Like you already have that guy. And what we've seen what happens with Chris Jones when he gets quick pressure and there isn't a cleanup guy, then you get those situations like when Joe Burrow kept escaping in 2021 and the Bengals beat us 3 times in a year. You know
Mhm.
that the cleanup guy is really important. So
This was even
and
wasn't this a theme mid-season last year? I felt like where it was just Chris Jones for a while, and then Karloff just sort of reemerged and helped. Am I remembering this correctly?
no, that's true. I do think more than like in hindsight now, more than Karlaftis playing poorly, it was that our coverage had really taken a step back when Jalen Watson got hurt. And so there just wasn't Steve Spagnuolo, when our defense has been at its best, it's when he's had 3 corners that he really trusts, and then, having a safety or two that can really make things. So this year we might have the corner part and maybe the safety thing. We're hoping Jaden Hicks takes a leap. But having that combination, then you can get the quarterback to hold the ball past the first or second read, and that's when the cleanup sack guy can start getting really effective. And I think Karlaftis, there were times last year where he just didn't have that opportunity because we had a couple guys just getting burned, and there was not much to be done there.
Yeah, yeah. But he's signed now through like it's a long extension, right?
Yeah, so he currently has 1 year left on his rookie deal. Then he has the 5th year option. And then this new 4 year deal was tacked onto that.
Okay.
So it's a 4 year, $88 million deal, which is 22 million a year, which is like a lot of people were saying like a little richer than they would have wanted for him. But two ways to think about this that are positive in my opinion. One is that if you add everything up, the next 6 years, we're paying him an average of about 17.5 million, I think is what somebody posted. I haven't done the math myself, so could be wrong. But it's definitely under 20. And then the other thing is like even if you consider it a 4 year deal with 22 million a year, well, that's starting 2 years from now, which
Right.
where the cap is going to be higher. So as a percentage of the cap, like we're talking about a lot lower than if that deal were to start today. I think it's a coup. I think it's really great that the Chiefs pulled this off. I, in my opinion, it's the only circumstance in which they would have signed Karlaftis this early. Is that if it was like a mutually beneficial thing? Because Karlaftis isn't, I think everyone was thinking once we signed Trey Smith, like the next target was Trent McDuffie. And so it was a little surprising when the rumblings started coming that George Karlaftis, like, why are we signing Karlaftis? Well, it's because we were able to get that good of a deal this early. Whereas someone like McDuffie is probably going to wait because he knows he can get more and more money. We still have 2 years of control on McDuffie too. So I think it's in his best interest not to do a deal like this, definitely, right? Like I feel like if McDuffie signed today, he would want to tear up his current contract and like start something now,
This
rather
does feel
than
like
take a
an odd, like this doesn't seem common, right? Where you get this kind of extension after, like, so he's in year four, and then there's the fifth year option, which presumably they're going to give him, or like it's not like this
he's
contract would
already
kick in.
yeah,
Okay, so
it's already
yeah,
been taken, yeah.
okay, yeah, that's interesting because I don't remember that happening very much, at least to the Steelers
I feel
contracts.
like this is the perfect storm for something like that to happen. Like someone who is valuable to us, but is clearly not an elite guy, and so has some incentive to take what is good money today for the future, even though, that's a worthwhile risk for him and it's worthwhile for us because ultimately, like right now, someone was saying that his like cap hit 2 years from now is already among cap hits for defensive ends 2 years from now, number nine. So like by the time we actually get there, like he'll be much, much lower.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I think part of the reason you don't see it is like it's a weird mix of like if you're that good that you're going to be extended, usually you won't take that deal. And
yeah.
if you would take the deal, maybe the team is not that interested in you. It's just a perfect combination where we got someone who is good but not quite good enough to say no to this. And
Yeah,
so the Chiefs took it.
and it's sort of just what both parties need. So yeah, nice. Well, good. Is there anything else Chiefs wise that we should highlight um, before getting into some Steelers stuff?
I just think as we go forward, and I'll keep talking about it through the preseason, the most interesting thing to me, besides who's playing where at tackle, is going to be who's playing where at corner. Because Christian Fulton, who is going to be our second outside corner by all appearances, is on PUP also. And Trent McDuffie currently is playing outside. And I think it is every Chiefs fan's dream that Trent McDuffie kick back inside so that he's an elite, he was an all pro slot defender. Shamari Connor, who is a safety for us, played in the slot last year and did not fare well when he did. Although I will say, seeing some breakdowns, again, a main one by Cody Alexander, it does seem like Spags did some very interesting things to like protect weak defenders in the slots, kind of to make sure they didn't have to cover people in certain situations. So he's pretty good at that. We'll get some examples of that in the film review this year to look over. But yeah, it'll be interesting once they're at full strength. Where's McDuffie? Is he going to play
Mhm.
outside or is he going to play inside? If he's inside, that means Fulton's playing well. If and we could get that three corner situation now when Spags trusts everybody, and I think the defense could be really good.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Like that's the sweet spot. Yeah, the three corners, and Spags is happy, and Chiefs fans are happy. Yeah, nice. Well,
So
it'll be cool to see how that plays. We have similar, I think, questions about what are. I mean, I don't even know how to figure out what's going on in that quarterback situation right now. Uh, but but yeah, I
let's
mean,
wait. Let's jump over there now then. Wait,
sure,
so
yeah.
who are your
Or
corners?
that's a good question. Joey Porter Jr. still there. We have Darius Slay, who I was just looking up is 34. We really like old people. Um, we have Jalen Ramsey, who's 30. And like those are fun names to just like rattle off. I don't know, like they maybe were more fun like a couple years ago. Uh, and then like who else? Those, I'm well. It's a little unclear to me whether Jalen Ramsey is going to be at corner. I think he said something recently that indicated he's probably going to be at like an outside corner position. But there was originally some speculation that he would be at safety. Um, so I don't know exactly where to expect him to be. I think that'll be something that maybe we get some clarity on in training camp. But yeah, I think man, who, I'm probably like missing. I mean, we have like Trice still, and like who like I am still excited about, and uh, we'll see how that goes. But those are the we drafted someone too, uh, Dante something I think. But yeah, this is where my lack of following and this being like one of the most crazy off seasons in Steelers history is is combining to make it so that I have no idea basically what our quarterback situation is. But I don't know that a lot of people do know what it's going to be. I think we're
Yeah.
going to learn that.
Well, because the weird thing is, it's really hard for me to imagine that either Joey Porter Jr. or Darius Slay is going to play in the slot.
Yeah,
Like they seem pretty locked in as outside corners. Now,
certainly. Yeah, Joey Porter Jr. I mean, is Slay like slow enough now that maybe he should be like he could? I don't know. Like that's something I'm wondering.
but I don't know. Like I feel like I'd be more worried about him in the slot with like
With
the
being
receiver being
slow.
able to go either way. Like at least you can like wall him off to the bound. I mean, that's what the Chiefs always did with our slow corners is that
Hmm.
like the boundary's your friend. Just like you've got an extra defender out there. Like keep him
Yeah,
to the boundary. And Jalen Ramsey, at least not so much, I don't think, with the Dolphins, but when he was with the Rams, he would play in the slot.
okay. Yeah, that would
So
be interesting then. To have Ramsey in the slot. I mean, that in theory, if he's still got, I don't know enough about how he was last. I mean, I know he didn't have a terrific season last year, but like, does he still have his speed? I guess that would be the question.
yeah, it's hard to because he also had a lower body injury too that he was coming back from, right? Like because
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, Ramsey like came in like halfway through the season or so. He didn't like start the season with the Dolphins. I think he was
Okay.
hurt. Um,
Yeah,
I, I could be wrong on that, but that's my memory.
I believe
And
I believe you. um, yeah, but well, yeah. So, but I mean, what?
the
Yeah, I don't know.
the
I don't know where it's
safety
going.
thing is the safety thing is interesting because like, there is a decent history of like once elite corners becoming really, really good safeties or like hybrid defenders. Kind of like, Tyrann Mathieu was like a
Yeah,
corner
yeah,
safety hybrid and then ended up being really good as a safety. Charles Woodson, when he got older, like kind of transitioned. Rod Woodson, Steeler great, like did that. And so, like, I feel like there's something there if I don't know how well he plays like a deep half or anything like that. I have not watched enough Jalen Ramsey to see if he's even ever done that. But that would be intriguing. But on the other hand, like I like Deshaun Elliott, and one of the signings that I didn't remember happened was you guys got Juan Thornhill, who like I watched him for 4 years in Kansas City, and he's a good safety. So
mhm.
I feel like you've got two good safeties. You've got at least one good outside corner in Joey Porter. We'll see if Slay. You guys have made old corners play well, though. Like I feel like Patrick Peterson was okay. Even the later years of Joe Hayden was okay. Like
Yeah, yeah. I think we've just accepted that we are not good at evaluating quarterback talent in the draft. I mean, we did hit on Joy Porter Jr., I guess. Well, at least probably hit. I guess the jury is maybe still out on that. But and this is just our strategy. We'll just like sign old corners from other teams that made big names for themselves early in their careers. Which I don't know, that's okay. Um, but that's to be honest, that seems to be our strategy like across the board right now. We're just signing old people left and right.
it reminds me of what the Chiefs were doing on defense back in the like 2004 to 2006 range. Like I
That's
remember the
not
Chiefs,
promising. I mean,
they were
what
like
was your
trying to make a
defense?
push.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense was like weird. We had one year where we like forced a lot of turnover, but I remember we got like Patrick Surtain after he was the older Patrick Surtain,
Yeah.
after he was done with the Dolphins. And we got Sammy Knight, the safety, again from the Dolphins. We picked up Ty Law for a year in 2006 after he had come from the Jets. He had gone like Patriots to the Jets to us, I think. So like we kind of had this. I remember there was a year where we had this secondary, and CBS was throwing up a graphic of like the career interceptions of our second. And I was like, yeah, but none of them were with the Chiefs. Like it's like, oh my God, all these guys have so many picks. It's like, yeah, but
And it's
okay.
also a
So
sign that they're pretty old. Like if they have that
yeah,
many career interceptions.
exactly. I think it was '06 when we had like Sertan, I think was still there, and we got Ty Law that year. And then I guess we did something like that later too, actually under Andy Reid. We because we got Darrell Revis for a year,
Hmm. Yeah, I
uh,
forgot about that.
and we had what's his name, uh, Orlando Scandrick, which Chiefs fans don't want to hear about that one. Ended up essentially getting benched at the end of the 2018 year, but yeah. So I don't know. Unfortunately, like I hate to be a little bit of a downer, but I feel I see it taking the same course as the Chiefs in that like the Chiefs were an older team and they were basically like, look, we're gonna put all our chips in and we're gonna hope we catch lightning in a bottle and win a Super
Yeah,
Bowl with that
that seems
5%
like what we're
chance,
doing.
and we're gonna have to rebuild anyway. So what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
which is not a Steelers thing to do at all.
No, it's not. This is such a strange off season. I mean, like some of the moves I do like. And oh, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but I do like the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade, I think. At first I was just like, well, sort of too shocked to evaluate it, but I do think I like it in general. I mean, again, we'll see how Ramsey pans out, but I mentioned on here, I think that Minka has not been as dominant as Steelers fans want to believe for a little while now. I think maybe at least 2 seasons. Um, he was on. He showed up on on the tape last year, not great sometimes, right? Being out of position or being slow to cover receivers outside. So
Like getting
um,
burned on a cover two hole shot where I
yeah,
remember there was one where I was just like, are we sure this was cover two? Because that's a big hole. Like,
I think it happened more than once too, didn't it? I mean, there were a
yeah.
couple like that where it was like, how is Minka not there? But yeah, anyway, I mean, nothing against him. You know, he was a great leader for the locker room and stuff. You know, we'll have to replace his locker room presence. But uh, in terms of his performance on the field, I did think like he was overrated there.
Kind of
And we'll
coasting
see
on
how.
reputation.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to concretely state, so my understanding of the trade was that
So dog is going crazy. Mocha, you're fine. Go ahead. I'll mute
I
myself.
I think you traded Minka and a 27 fifth round pick for Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and a 27 seventh round pick. What do you think about picking up Jonnu Smith in that deal? Because he kind of seems Pat Fryermuthy to me.
Hmm.
Like, I know Arthur Smith likes him because I think he had him in Tennessee. Is that right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think that's right. Or
I think he might have
yeah, I think
also
that's right.
tried to get him in Atlanta or something too.
I couldn't remember if it was Atlanta or Tennessee, but yeah.
I think he had him in Tennessee for sure. I'm gonna check if he also was a Falcon.
I mean, Arthur Smith loves his tight ends, right? And now, like, I think our tight end situation is pretty nice with Fryermuth, Smith, and Darnell Washington. I still think is underutilized.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe there are other reasons that they're like good reasons he's utilized the way he is. But in principle, that's like a pretty impressive tight end room. Um, and we did, I think we had a good number of 13 personnel last year, right? One running back, three tight ends. And so if you can get them all on the field at the same time, like that's some fun safety valves for Rodgers to play with, I would think. So I don't know. I mean, I'm excited about that. I don't know. I think you're right. I think of Smith, insofar as I think of him at all, as kind of similar to Freiermuth. Um, so I'm not sure exactly what to make of that, but I think, having the three tight end packages and three capable sometimes opposing tight ends is exciting.
Yeah, I think as long as, because my one worry with the similarities between Freiermuth and Johnny Smith is like, do they block well enough to make you a good enough run threat out of 13
Right.
personnel to bring? Because like the advantage there is if you can get guys to play heavy. Like if other teams aren't going to play heavy against your 13 personnel, which, and, I mean, seeing the Steelers, Darnell Washington can certainly block. Uh, and I still like, I if Fautanu comes back and he's healthy, I like Zach Frazier a lot based on film last year. So I don't know if like the rest of the line can kind of be pieced together because the injuries I think just made it really hard last year. But I remember like being somewhat interested in the Steelers linemen when I was watching preseason stuff last year after the draft. So if they could kind of put things together, because there's somebody else that was drafted that I can't remember, a guard too, right, last year. So Frazier, Fatanu, and somebody else, I think.
The guard too. Yeah, Frazier and Fortano are the ones that I think about when I think about the line last year. But we might, yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure we did. I'm sure we have someone else recently as well. Guard. Yeah. I don't know, but I do think.
Oh, Mason McCormick. He's
yeah.
fourth round guard. So I think this is a line that I think will grow together. I don't know if it's this year, but you'd think by next year, if the Steelers do what the Steelers do, you're going to have a good offensive line.
Yeah, I think that there's like at least room to hope there that with the youth on the line right now and the promise or delayed promise in Partanu's case that you see there that this will gel into a really good unit in a little bit. I feel a little unsure about Rodgers behind this unit now, but we'll see how that goes. Back to the tight ends just for a second. I do think, right, for a while, the main knock on Freiermuth was that he was not a good blocker. I do think my impression of him last year was that he was significantly improved. I don't know much about Johnny Smith as a blocker, but
I don't think there's that much to know.
Okay, that's maybe not great. But
yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be that flippant because like Travis Kelce is a much better blocker than people think he is. That could definitely be the case with Johnny Smith too. I'm not going to pretend to have really followed his career that closely.
He's been around long enough that you'd think he should at least be adequate as a blocker, but who knows, right? Yeah, but maybe we should talk about the Watt extension. That's the big recent news.
Yeah, what? Let's open the floor. What do you think?
I feel like we had to do it. Right, he's now like the highest non-QB contract, the highest non-QB salary in NFL history, at least. Yeah, probably. Given the way salaries, I think it's at least currently.
And the guarantee, this year, next year, his cap hit is $42 million.
Yeah, that's
gonna be massive.
Crazy. No, but I do think I don't know. It's a little bit of an odd situation, right? I mean, normally you'd want to be paying a player for what their production is going to be, not what it has been. I feel like this is a case where maybe it was not exactly that. Because it's hard to imagine he's going to be that good for the next, 4 years or whatever. I think last year was sort of a down year for him, but not for any very obvious reason. I think if you look at the time to pressure, Highsmith had a better time to pressure last year, average time to pressure than Watt did. So I don't know. I mean, right? He's still he's a he's a huge name. He's a leader in the locker room. He's done a lot for us. We've won a lot of games because of him, really. And so I do think you kind of just had to do it. Um,
I
Maybe
just
there was
I
another way
feel,
to approach it and trade him or something. But like, yeah, I do think it was a good move. And are you skeptical?
no, I mean, no, I don't think so. I really, I mean, it's going to be tough with his cap hit, and then the fact that Jalen Ramsey has a big contract. Like, if one or both of them fall off a cliff, like this team's going to be rebuilding real fast,
Yeah,
just with like the amount of money. I do think realistically, JJ Watt's not really on a 3 year deal. I think that
TJ.
third year, sorry,
Sorry, JJ
TJ.
Never. Yeah.
JJ shouldn't be on any deal. Um,
Actually, there was some crazy stat that like career earnings for JJ Watt are like 124 million or something like that, and that's the current deal for TJ Watt.
I mean, it's a crazy time, like the amount of ballooning in sports leagues in general and salaries. Like it makes like even 10 years ago look like pedestrian.
Yeah.
But really, like looking at Spot Track, like he's essentially tacked 2 years on to his like 1 year that was remaining. And I feel like he's essentially on a 3 year, $108 million contract. And I think unless he's like still a defensive player of the year candidate in 2027, I feel like he's probably going to be cut and they'll just take the $10 million dead cap in
Mm,
28.
yeah. That would be. I mean, it's hard for me to like. The reason I think we had to do this is just because he's like, well, for one, he's a fan favorite, and he has sort of very prominently won games for us with closing them out with big sacks and whatnot. And I think just that being that like big of a star, um, it's odd for me to think of him getting cut toward the end of this deal. But you know, I mean, like
Or it could be even
it's a huge
restructured.
deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see a restructuring. I think that seems more likely to me. But and it would be a restructuring based on the leverage of well, you didn't have that many sacks in 2025, 2026, or whatever it is,
Right.
right? So I honestly don't expect a ton. I think last year he had what 10 and a half or 11 and a half or something like that. I think I kind of expect a similar. Like, he's not going to be around 20. I mean, it'd be great if he were, but he's 30 also, and I think he'll be 31 in October.
Yeah. I think he's going to be 31 early in the season. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's
And
not realistic
yeah,
to expect 20 some sacks.
I mean, it's just the cap hits are just. I mean, you're looking at like in 2028, where he would have a $46 million cap hit. Jalen Ramsey is also slated to have a $31 million cap hit. Now, Jalen Ramsey's dead cap, if you cut him, would be 7 million. So I feel like he'd be like there's no way he's playing at age 34 on a $31 million cap. Like, there's no way. I
Yeah,
feel like Jalen Ramsey's not going to be on the team. And I feel like there's a chance. I don't think that 34-year-old TJ Watt is going to be playing on a $46 million cap hit. Although 33-year-old TJ Watt's going to be playing on a $42 million cap hit. So if he does well, then maybe he will. But I don't know. It's not because, you know, the Steelers usually are very, very good at knowing when it's done. Like
yeah,
even with Troy Polamalu, like Troy wanted to keep playing, and they were just like, "Well, it's not going to be here," and he was like, "Well, I'll just retire then." Uh,
yeah, yeah. That's true. So I wonder. I do wonder
like, is
where this
this
goes.
Omar Khan being different, or is this like they have reason to believe that this is contract's going to be worth it because they tend to be right about these things? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see this being, but I mean, I still think we had to do it. At least, it makes sense right now. It probably, probably, ask me again in a year or two, and I'll tell you how much sense it makes then. Um, but I heard also that like Mike Tomlin was, I don't know if pivotal is the right word, but influential in in getting this deal done before training camp, basically saying like let's get this done. We don't want this hanging over us. I'm sure he's not the one paying PJ Watt, but but at least he pressured for it to happen. I think so. It sounds like he wants to get everything set and not have that. Which I can
Do you
understand.
think an added benefit of the contract is that it might have completely messed with Trey Hendrickson's contract in negotiations with the Bengals?
I mean, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a nice that's a nice angle on it. Because yeah, it's like, well, we're clearly overpaying, so now they have to. Right? So,
Well, and
yeah,
he's sitting at home while the Bengals are at training camp, so
yeah, yeah. That's strategic. It's a weird angle. Um, yeah. So, well, I feel like I had something else to say about this TJ Watt contract, but I don't know what it was. Um, but yeah, I mean, this has been a crazy, crazy, crazy off season, right? Like just like taking some some stock of it. I know we have just a few minutes left here, but the amount of thing like any one of like the Minka trade would have been like big news
yeah.
in a single off season, but that was just like one thing amongst all like Rogers, Pickens, Metcalf, like Watt. It's just it's a lot to process. The team is going to be uh, it'll be an interesting team. I don't really know what to expect, and it's one of those situations too where I feel like I talked about this before on here, where it's like you're attached to the players, or at least I am. I feel like I'm attached to the players maybe more than the team itself, and so like all this turnover is like, oh wait, so like who am I? Like like who do I like who bears my when I'm concerned about us doing well? Who do I relate to there? And I think it's still Mike Tomlin, right? He's like the rock for me. But yeah, there's
How
a lot of
long does
turnover.
someone have to be there to get like has Omar Khan received that loyalty
Yeah,
yet?
yeah, somehow. Yeah, I mean, no one's in Tomlin's tier, right? Uh, but yeah, Omar Khan. I mean, I don't know how long it could just be. I mean, I think it varies with the position, right? So like if Aaron Rodgers has a good 3 weeks to start the season or something like that, then probably he'll be there too. Let's be realistic.
I mean, this is the first time in a really long time that I'm like would be very interested if Aaron Rodgers starts playing well. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like for the last couple of years, I've just been like, I have no reason to want him to play well. Like, it's fine.
Well, I've
But
wanted him actively not to play well, and here I am now rooting for him. So,
but
uh,
it would be very, very interesting if he started playing well.
I do think I do think also that it better go well early, or he's not going to care, and he might check out.
That's
I
fair.
mean, I don't
And
know
he's
if
made it
I'm.
clear this is his last year, right? He's like, this is it.
Yeah, I think. Well, how clear? I mean, that's certainly what everyone expects. Right? It's a swan
I
song.
thought he said something. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I would believe it. Um, but yeah, it's you know, yeah. But if it starts going badly early, I do think he's going to be like, well, what am I doing this for? Right? Like,
Uh, the,
why am I killing myself over this?
I think the quote was, he's pretty sure that this will be his last season.
Okay.
That doesn't really mean much. He's kind of wishy-washy. So,
Yeah,
yeah. All right. I rescind that. All right. Well, I guess we got to wrap up now. Right?
yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to. We still have to do our locks for. Oh, we have to do predictions and whatnot for the season, but maybe that'll be a little bit closer to the start of the season. We have some
Yeah.
preseason stuff still.
Yeah, and we've got not next week, but the week after. I think both the Chiefs and Steelers start the preseason on the same day. So that'll be exciting. More to come.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll be in touch. In touch.
Until next time.